My family. Now, a woman called Ava on X, formerly called Twitter, posted a comment saying this, and I quote, "If I was Meghan Markle, I would have been living my best life in a castle, being busy with all kinds of epic projects to help people, while my husband fulfills the calling he trained for his entire life. Plus, my kids grow up with a huge family who loves them." Number one, Ava, you are not Meghan. Number one, you are not Meghan. And if you watched the Harry and Meghan documentary, if you've watched the Oprah interview, if you have read Spare and think for a second that Meghan was or is much better off in the raw fold, then something is very wrong with you. It means you liked to watch her suffer. That's the only thing it means. Because you can't tell me you've watched, the Oprah interview, read Spare, and watched the Harry and Meghan documentary and still think that Meghan was way much better off or happy in the raw fold. You can't tell me that. You really cannot tell me that. You cannot. My family, first of all, the reason I chose to focus on Ava's comment on X is because I want us all to understand the mindset of these individuals, of how they speak, how they think. These people who we call derangers, who have hate accounts targeting Meghan and somehow think that my family, Meghan, should have just put up with everything thrown at her in exchange of living in a castle. Number two, the second thing I want to address is this lie that Meghan was living in a castle. Meghan, was not living in a castle. Meghan was not living in what we call a palace. Meghan and Harry, after they got married, stayed at Nottingham Cottage, a very, very small cottage, which Harry described in Spare. And let me read you Harry's very own words, because there are people who refuse to understand, who refuse to accept the life that Harry and Meghan have chosen for themselves. A life outside of the raw fold. There are people who refuse to understand and respect Harry and Meghan's wishes and still think that somehow it is Meghan who is responsible for taking Harry away. My family, let me read you this, please. Harry's own words about Nottingham Cottage, and I quote Harry's words. "Northcote was no palace." I repeat, Northcote was no palace. So then why? Why do people still think Meghan and Harry were staying in palaces and that they say no to staying in a palace? Why do people think that Meghan was staying in a castle and that she said no to staying in a castle? Why do people still think in that way? Why? Even despite all the knowledge you've been told by Harry and Meghan themselves from their own mouths, people still want to peddle propaganda. Oh, they were living in a castle. Oh, they were living in a palace. Who would want to give up that life? If that life, Ava, was perfect, as you believe it is or was, then the thing is, Harry and Meghan would never have left that life If it was perfect, if it was amazing, they never would have left the royal fold. If that life there was perfect. Like how some people think it is. My family, Harry then said this. Northcote was no palace. Northcote was palace adjacent. It was next to a palace. My family, that was the best you could say for it. And I remember how the Rota always cover where Harry and Meghan was staying. They said Harry and Meghan are staying at Kensington Palace. That's what they would say. But they wouldn't really mention Nottingham Cottage. They would say Harry and Meghan are staying in Kensington Palace. Even this year and last year, the tabloids were proposing for Charles to give Harry a place at Kensington Palace to make it look like it's amazing, it's perfect. But the only place available is what Harry said, Nottingham Cottage, which is no palace. But my family, it is palace adjacent. It is next or close to a palace, but it is no palace. But some people still want to peddle this lie. Oh, Meghan and Harry, why you live, life in a castle? I would stay in that castle. Meghan was not living that life you think she was living. She wasn't. She and Harry were staying at Nottingham Cottage, where William stormed in and physically assaulted Prince Harry. At Nottingham Cottage. And I believe when the Queen found out what had happened, she then offered Harry and Meghan a place called Frogmore Cottage. After, I believe, finding out that William had physically assaulted Prince Harry inside Nottingham Cottage. The Queen then gave Harry and Meghan a different place. My family, please, we need to set this record straight. My family, Harry then said, because I find this next part very, very important. He says he watched Meghan as she walked up the front path through the white picket fence. To my relief, she made no sign of dismay and gave no indication of disillusionment. I like the word Harry chose to use. I like it. And people like Ava should read Spare, because Harry perfectly describes it, my family. When you think about a prince, you think this guy is living in a castle. You think this guy has everything provided for him at his disposal. That's what you think. You think you can afford anything in this world. That's the thought. My family, that's the thought. But the reality is very, very different, especially when you are the spare. And Harry was the spare. Harry was William's spare. My family. And I really like how Prince Harry says, that Meghan gave no indication of disillusionment the first time she came to see Prince Harry at where he was staying, and where she and Harry stayed after they got married at Nottingham Cottage. Even Oprah said, my family, these very important words, you will never ever believe it. Where Harry and Meghan are staying, you never ever believe it. A small place. And the thing is, it's the mindset of people like Ava, who, when they think about a prince, they think a prince is someone who lives in a castle, in a palace. Because my family, let's all face it, when UK media write articles and talk about the places whereby members of the royal family live, they say Kensington Palace, they say Buckingham Palace. And they all look beautiful, my family. But the thing is, Harry and Meghan were not staying in a castle. They weren't staying in a palace. They were staying, my family, in a place close to a palace. And then they moved to a cottage. So surely, the thing is, some people, I don't know how you explain to someone like Ava, who Harry has told in Spare, to everyone who would take the time to read Spare, Harry has told you he wasn't living in a palace, my family. But some people, when they hear the word prince, they think that this guy lives in a palace, a huge palace, And Harry even said of Meghan, thankfully, Meghan gave no sign of dismay and gave no indication of disillusionment. People like Ava, I would say, are disillusioned, my family, into thinking that Prince Harry was living in a castle, in a palace, and then why would he leave? She, in her comments, clearly blames Meghan for Harry leaving and says, if I was Meghan, first of all, you're not, I would have been living my best life in a castle, being busy with all kinds of epic projects. My family. First of all, Meghan has told us of how she was in the royal fold. Prince Harry has told us and given us an idea of how their lives were like in the royal fold. Harry tells us he would come back home to see his pregnant wife crying. Why? Because of smears and attacks by the British media, with the full approval of Prince William K. Charles Camilla, who approved UK media to go after Meghan with the aim of destroying her, with the aim of removing her from Harry's life, my family. Even when Meghan was pregnant with Harry and Meghan's first child, UK tabloids never gave her any peace. But someone called Ava thinks Meghan was living her best life in a castle. In my family, and there's a reason why we call people who have hate accounts derangers. Because they very, very much are deranged. They don't want to use common sense. They refuse to use common sense. They refuse to. My family. They refuse to use common sense. They're easily lied to. They're easily deceived. And the facts are right there with my family, us all. We have the facts. Everybody has the facts. Everybody. But some people want to push their own agenda, want to push their own lies. If I was Meghan Markle, I would have been living my best life in a castle, being busy with all kinds of epic projects to help people while my husband fulfills the calling he trained for his entire life. Yes, Prince Harry was trained his entire life. Basically, to be a royal, to my family go on engagements, yes, to charity work. And you know what? Harry and Meghan are doing that outside of the royal fold in California. Even the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has said Harry and Meghan do incredible work in California. Even the governor of California has commended Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Even Harry and Meghan are commended by the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. And my family, but some people in their mindset are groomed or taught to believe or think that it was a big mistake for Prince Harry to leave the royal fold. Because he was never ever supposed to leave, because he was supposed to remain in the royal fold whether he liked it or not. He was supposed to stay there. Whether he liked it or not. And my family, yesterday on our community section, I posted this comment, my family, that I want to read you, once again. Allow me to read this, please, my family. I say this. There's a comment I saw saying this by Iris. Their agenda is clear. Apply as much pressure and stoke much controversy as possible in the hopes that A, Prince Harry will turn down, for example, the Pat Tillman Award, and B, that Prince Harry and Meghan will become too toxic to deal with. It is the most clear-cut case of, and I quote, if we can't have him, if the British tabloids can't have Prince Harry, then no one else can. And my family have been saying this for quite a very, very long time. I've been saying this, and that comment confirmed my own words, what I've been saying about the behavior of the UK media. They're like, if we can't have access to Prince Harry, if we can't have him, then nobody should be able to have him. Because all of Harry's life, there's been this sense of ownership over him. Because he's, born in the royal family, a blood-born royal, born into the royal family, in Britain family. And for that reason, even though he doesn't want to, he was born into a contractual, relationship between the royal family and the British tabloid press, who feel like they own Harry, that Prince Harry is their own personal property. He belongs to them. And therefore, when they see him with, for example, Meghan, they're like, no. He shouldn't be with her. That's why a carnival of so-called experts had the audacity to say, Meghan, don't make Harry choose between you and us. This is a tabloid. A tabloids that Harry blames for the death of his mother. But they thought for a second Prince Harry could choose them over his wife. Even right now, even a few days ago, I showed you all a clip of Hugo Vickers saying that Prince Harry in 10 years' time will come back to the UK and leave Meghan, Archie, Lilibet in California. They think Prince Harry will abandon his wife and kids for them to be in the royal fold. They actually think that way of Prince Harry. Because to them, they feel like they own him and that they can command him to do what they want to do, whether he likes it or not, my family. And that's the mindset of people like, Ava, who can't accept that Prince Harry and Meghan are much better off doing charity work outside of the royal fold, living their lives, earning their own living, paying their own bills outside of the royal fold, whereby we don't have to hear complaints waging all the morning for the media. Oh, Prince Harry and Meghan did renovations on Frogmore worth £2.4 million. They should pay it back. My family, we've seen those complaints. However, UK media are okay with having a coronation worth up to more than £250 million. They're okay with renovating Buckingham Palace for £500 million, but they aren't okay with Harry and Meghan renovating a cottage for £2.4 million. A cottage that doesn't even belong to Harry and Meghan. My family, they are not okay with that. That's where they draw a red line. Why? Because they can't stand the thought of seeing a woman of color living the life they believe they should be living. Or someone who looks like them, meaning white, should be living. That's the mindset of people like Ava. That's why even right now, despite everything that has happened, she's like, if it was Meghan Markle, I'd be living my best life in a castle. My family, when you're being bullied every day by the UK media, as Meghan was, being bullied in the UK, as Prince Harry would come home and see his wife crying every day, would you be living your best life. You know, some would say, but Brian, the bullying still continues. Yes, it does. Yes, it happens. Yes, it continues. The smear campaign is ongoing. Yes. However, there's a difference for Meghan, for example, between waking up in California and waking up in the UK. Surrounded by individuals who have incited hatred against you. There's a big difference. You are happier to wake up in California, to move around in California, to drive around in California. You feel safe. You feel okay. Even Harry said his family feels safe in the UK. Meghan feels safe. Archie Lilibet are safe, are happy in the US. Harry said so himself. They feel safe in the US. They don't feel safe in the UK. There's a huge difference, my family. When you tell someone who is the victim of an ongoing smear campaign to go back to that toxic, abusive environment she fled from, what are you trying to do to that person? Do you mean that person well? Do you want the person to be happy? You don't. You don't. Clearly you don't. And my family ever doesn't want Meghan to be happy. She clearly does not. You know? My family, yes, Prince Harry was basically trained to be just royal, my family, all his life. Yes, he was. But you know what? My family, if you ask Harry to choose between Meghan, Archie Lilibet, or life in the rough world, it's clear what he will choose. It's clear what he will choose. And clearly, he already chose. And my family, he chose Meghan, Archie Lilibet, which is something that people like Ava have been unable to accept. You know? And let me cover the part where she says, plus, my kids grow up with a huge family who loves them. I don't think even she believes that. King Charles evicted Harry, Meghan, Archie, Lilibet from their only UK home from a cottage. King Charles is someone who has never ever shown any interest in even getting to know Archie and Lilibet Diana. He has shown no interest. This year, Lilibet was being bullied over her name, and Buckingham Palace ADs were jumping up and down with joy about what was going on, about what was happening. But they want to tell you that, Meghan, her kids will grow up with a huge family who loves them. Oh, please, come on. William, when Archie was born, he said, I already have a nephew. That's what he said. Because if someone can bully Meghan throughout her entire pregnancy, do you think they care about her kids? Do you think UK media that keep on saying, oh, you know what? The kids should be growing up next to George, Louis, and Charlotte, their cousins. Do you think they care about Archie and Lilibet Diana when they bullied Meghan throughout all her pregnancies? Meghan was very clear. And my family, we all saw it happening. Whenever Meghan, we learn that she's pregnant, the abuse on her escalates. Why is that? Why? Because it's clear. They don't want her to have a peaceful pregnancy. I don't even think they want her, to my family, be able to safely deliver her kids. I don't think, UK media or the farm have ever wanted that. That's why even right now, when they call for her to come back, they don't mention his kids. They call for her to abandon his kids. That tells you they never ever wanted Meghan to even give Harry kids. But somebody wants to tell you, oh, you know what? My kids will grow up with a huge family who loves them. Mention one moment, just one moment, whereby the royal family have condemned the bullying of Archie and Lilibet. I'll wait. Don't worry, I'll wait. I'll be patient. I'll wait for that moment whereby the royal family have condemned the bullying of Archie Lilibet. It's never happened. Never. Never. Not even once. So my family, when someone tells you, oh, Charles cares about Archie Lilibet, please, that person is a liar. When someone tells you, William cares about Archie Lilibet, that person is a liar. If someone tells you Camilla and Kim don't care about Lilibet and Archie, those are liars. When someone tells you, oh, you know what, Archie Lilibet should grow up next to their cousins, George, Louis, Charlotte, my family, I'm sure Harry&Meghan like their kids to know their cousins. I'm sure. But my family, what Harry&Meghan want to avoid, and I believe they've seen what goes on over and over again, is the agenda of the British tabloid press. The farm will always need a scapegoat, always, to protect the heirs. And clearly, from what I have seen from Prince William, from what I can see from looking at him, my family, I see him as someone who also will do everything to ensure his kids, Louis and Charlotte, don't end up as being, scapegoats for the farm. However, he doesn't care about Archie and Lilibet. And you're seeing this interest that UK media are having on Archie and Lilibet. And my family, I can tell you something, that is not a good thing. That is not a good thing. Because it tells me that UK media want to pit Archie versus George, Charlotte versus Lilibet, and my family, the tabloids, who have been racist towards Meghan, are never going to be kind towards Harry and Meghan's kids, and have never been kind towards Harry and Meghan's kids. What do you think in the future that things will change? That they will be, kinder to Harry and Meghan's kids? They won't. They won't. They just want to create drama around them, pit them against their cousins, to sell papers. That's what they want. The fact is, a photograph of Archie Lilibet, it sells papers. And that's why Thomas Markle was asking for a photograph of Archie Lilibet to be given to him. That way, he can give it to Daily Mail, whereby Daily Mail will print the picture on my family, their online website and their front page. That's what they want, like they did with Meghan's letter. I feel like they want a case again with Meghan. That way they can be able to gain some more content, my family, for some more material, really, talk about for a couple of years. And Meghan should never, ever, allow Thomas Markle to have any kind of access to her or her kids. So my family, as I've said, basically, some people don't understand or refuse to understand what Meghan went through, or they've seen it and they still don't care. They believe that Meghan should just put up with it. Because Ava then says that somehow Meghan screwed up the best opportunity of her life in the royal family. That's what she says. And my family, the thing is, if you believe that was the best opportunity of Meghan's life, you know what? Meghan would never ever leave that best opportunity in her life or of her life. Life was hell in the royal family. Life was hell for Meghan in the royal fold. Why? Because of her race. Because of, the racism she was experiencing from the UK media and also from senior members of the royal family. The fact is, senior members of the royal family were racist towards Meghan. Because of her race, Meghan was treated appallingly by the UK media and by the farm. In my family, no person in their right mind would ever want to consider staying in a toxic environment. And Prince Harry knew what UK media wanted, and that's why he said they never thought that he would leave. They knew Meghan would leave because of how they were abusing her. But they never thought Harry would live with her. They never ever thought that would happen. Even right now, that's why they are trying so hard to enforce Harry back to the UK. because they never wanted him to go or leave. They wanted only Meghan to leave. And they've never been able to come to terms with the fact that Prince Harry is much happier with Meghan and Archie Lilibet being by their side rather than being around his abusers, my family. Even to this day, Prince Harry refuses to wine and dine with the toxic media, and still they grovel, demand, Harry, speak to us. Harry, come back. It won't happen. It won't happen. And my family, in this life, we only live once. Meghan is not going to be miserable to please Ava, to fulfill the desires of Ava or anybody else. It is her life to live. And Harry is not going to be the next Margaret, whereby she's miserable, all her life. In the end, when she's, 8 years old or 60 years old, my family, you can be right. You know what? But you know what? She gave up love for duty. Let's clap for her. Let's clap for Margaret. I'm assuming that that's what they want to write for Prince Harry. For Prince Harry to have the same fate as Margaret, whereby they'll write when he's 60 years old or 8 years old. Harry gave up love for duty. Clap your hands. But he's been miserable all his life to prop up Prince William. That's what they want for Prince Harry. And my family, I hope that never happens to Prince Harry at all. May he never ever have the same fate as the late Princess Margaret, who was forced to give up the man she loved, and she was miserable all her life. But in the end, UK media wrote about her life. She gave up love for duty, and they clapped for her. But she lived a miserable life. But UK media say she was happy. She wasn't. She wasn't. She wasn't. She wasn't happy. And my family, they want Harry to be the same way, whereby he gives up the love of his life, and for what? To go and follow William around. And then Ava says that Meghan will divorce Prince Harry so that she can be a strong, independent woman. You see what all this is about. It's all about, separating Harry from Meghan because they can't stand that Harry fell in love with her. They can't stand it. They know, they knew Meghan would leave because of how they were being abusive towards her. They knew she would leave. They hope she would leave. Even right now, they still hope she'll leave Prince Harry. Even right now. And they keep on their attacks. They attack Meghan, Harry, hoping that Meghan will leave Prince Harry. Or that Harry will leave Meghan. And all these years, it's never worked. And it's never ever going to work. All these attempts at breaking apart Harry and Meghan's marriage for the spread to be miserable, unhappy, alone, lonely, like Margaret. Harry will not have the fate of Margaret that some derangers envisioned for him. And Harry and Meghan were not living in a castle back in the UK. They were living in a cottage, and also, my family, a small place called Nottingham Cottage also, and Frogmore Cottage. That's where they were staying. And even that, UK media believed it was too much for Prince Harry and Meghan to have. They couldn't stand seeing a woman of color, living a life that, they believed should be theirs. My family, Meghan went through so much suffering. The palace was blinking and briefing against her every day. She never even knew peace when she was pregnant with Archie or Lilibet. But at least with Lilibet, she was, in America. My family. And my family, Harry even says that when Lilibet was being born, on the day that Lilibet was being born, that he and Meghan felt some relief. They were happy. They were happy that they could have their private moment as a couple without being harassed for photographs by anybody else. And I love that. And I'm sure Harry and Meghan appreciate that. If you want your own prince, go find your own prince and marry your own prince. And if you're willing to put up with disrespect to basically be living or be a member of the royal family, then Ava, you find yourself someone in the royal family to marry, who will marry you. But don't expect someone else to put up with abuse, to amuse you, for you to see Harry perform, for you to entertain you. No. I disagree with that, fully. In this life, you only have one life to live. Choose happiness, not misery. And I'm happy that that's what Harry and Meghan have chosen. My family, right now, I want to hear your opinion on what we just discussed. May God bless Harry, Meghan, Archie, and also Lilibet, and may no weapon formed against Harry, Meghan, Archie, and also Lilibet ever prosper. Meghan isn't going to be miserable or unhappy to please Ava. And the more UK media and trolls online somehow hope for Harry and Meghan to get divorced, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. The more Harry and Meghan will fight for what they have, true love. Oh, and before I forget, let me read you some comments also from members of the squad who have commented and responded to Ava's post. Someone said this, and I quote, "Let us not normalize women staying in toxic situations because there is a castle involved. I wouldn't call standing on a balcony and waving a calling. Nor would I call the British royal family a loving family. LOL. If Prince Harry had wanted Harry's family had wanted Harry's kids to grow up around them, they would have acted better. But they did not. Exactly. Someone else said that best life in a castle. Some of you really need to read Prince Harry's book. There was no opulent life of wearing jewels, and being waited on hand and foot. They both lived in a small cottage, That's where they lived. Do not glamorize, that BS. My family, someone said that, And let's all be clear. Meghan is living the life. She and Harry have their own production company. They also have a foundation together that has touched the lives of so many people. Even the governor of California said that himself. Harry and Meghan are doing remarkable work with their actual foundation. They're doing so much amazing work. And Meghan gets to use her voice and influence on her terms, not the terms of a bunch of racists. Exactly. My family, it's always this type who are still fantasizing their whole life and wishing they had Harry as their husband. Someone else, my family, said that, And no wonder, Ava dreams of Meghan leaving Harry. And they always wanted to be Meghan who leaves Harry. Exactly as Harry said, they thought and they knew Meghan would leave because of how they were abusing her. They never thought Harry would leave with her. Even right now, they still think that Meghan will leave Harry. The more they keep waiting for a divorce, the more they keep hoping that Harry and Meghan, leave each other or separate, the more Harry and Meghan will work extremely hard to defend their family, to protect their love. That's what I believe. My family, now stay tuned to this video. Love you also forever, and may God bless each and every single one of you. Hello, members of Zesco Family TV. First of all, I want to say thank you for all your support that you give us to our channel. We don't take it for granted that you support this channel. I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for lending out your support and fighting against injustices, supporting Prince Harry and Meghan, showing them love. Love will always triumph over evil, and for that I say thank you. Good will always prevail over bad. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for joining this community, this amazing community of Zasco Family TV. I love you so much, family, from the bottom of my heart, and I wish you all the best. May you have a great day, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned a lot of things. With that and so much more, stay tuned to our next video. Leave a comment below, like, and subscribe. Love you, family, always and forever. Sayonara.